about it.
Let's talk about it.
The new generation, man. WWE new generation era. If you're anything like me growing up, because I did grow up in the 90s, I knew about the Hogan era and a little bit. Because like I said, I was like, I want to say I was probably like 6 or 7 or 8. And I knew about Hogan. I knew about Ultimate Warrior, but I didn't have a clear view because, like I said, I really wasn't around at the time. I was born in late 80s. But I knew about the new generation. And the new generation, for people who don't know, is after the Hogan era with Macho Man and, you know, WWE had to go into a new direction. Hogan was older, Macho Man was older, and they went to WCW. So...
And they brought the Ultimate Warrior out fast.
Yeah. also around this time, Vince McMahon was going through a steroid trial. And it wasn't looking good for the good old WWF at that time. I mean, Vince wasn't even running his day-to-day operations. He was letting Bill Watts run it. So, you know, things were kind of different there. And... they didn't have a stranglehold over the competition. Now, they were number one just by default, but they didn't have a stranglehold like they did in the 80s. WCW starting to make a little bit of ground, especially when they got a hold of Hogan, Macho Man, and a lot of old WWF wrestlers, older WWF wrestlers that fans grew to know. So they started the Attitude Era, and Vince wanted to start fresh. New generation, newer stars. You know, these guys, they weren't on steroids. You know, they really weren't jacked up. All of them weren't jacked up. And so he wanted to go in a different direction. So you started seeing people like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Diesel, Razor Ramon, you know, and countless others get pushed to the forefront. Undertaker made his debut around this time. So, you know, you starting to, Undertaker didn't make his debut. He was very prominent in his role around this time. So you're starting to see a new class, a new generation, as they say. What are your take on the new generation?
I mean, I loved it. I mean, did people have like mixed reactions from it? Because it did have a lot of buffoonish moments, but at the same time, it's still a good time when you look back on it. Because you had even people that were soon to be legends, like you're watching them grow. Like you mentioned, Bret and Shawn. Mm-hmm. You know, you had a young Steve Austin show up during this time. Mm-hmm. You had like people that underrated, like Mr. Perfect. You had the model Rick Martel. Like you still had dope tag teams that was lurking around. Now, the tag team division, to me, you know, it was kind of hit or miss. But I mean, for every bushwhacker situation, you had the Quebecers. For every LOD, you had what? I'm drawing a blank. Axe and Smash. Yeah. You know, you had them. You know what I'm saying? So it was okay. You had Ted DiBiase and his stables running around. Yeah. You had Yokozuna come in. Everybody thought he was a whole Japanese dude. This man all the way Samoan. As a kid, you wouldn't think that because you just like, I'm gonna believe what they selling me because you're a kid. And he, you know, okay, cool. But Yoko was in there moving like he was 150 pounds. Yeah. So, I mean, you saw some very unusual things for the first time. You saw a clown actually come around and have decent matches and decent rivalries and become a fan favorite. A clown. For those who don't remember Doink. It was an interesting time, man. A very interesting time. And you had firemen, hockey players.
All right, but we're about to get into the pros and the cons of the new generation. If you're watching it, if you haven't seen our Ruthless Aggression pros and cons and our Attitude Era pros and cons, go back and look at those videos too, because those are great videos and great insight on those eras. All right, I'm going to do the first pro. I think the first pro of the new generation was no steroids, cleaner wrestlers. And yes, I know I'm watching as a fan, but like I said, in the 80s, all these wrestlers were kind of jacked up. They were like larger than life, kind of like superheroes brought to life. And that's great and everything. But the work was not that memorable by a lot of them. With with no steroids, and you have cleaner wrestlers who were cleaner. I'm not gonna say they were clean because that's not true. But when I say cleaner wrestler, I'm talking about just like no steroids. These wrestlers look like us. They was light. They were putting on better matches. Like I said, Bret Hart was probably one of the big key components, and along with Shawn Michaels around this time, and they were giving us great matches. So I think the first pro is no steroids, cleaner wrestlers. I think that was big during the new generation, because it also showed people that, hey, we don't just have to have people coming in with 18,000 muscles. Like the guys who don't have that physique can put on good matches and live and be larger than life too. So I thought that was a good pro.
It's like superheroes; they come in all shapes and sizes.
Exactly.
You know what? To piggyback off of what you just said, I saw a thing where Kevin Nash was telling a story about Shawn Michaels, and you mentioned larger than life guys. I don't know if anybody remember the Warlord.
Oh Lord, you going through that story?
Yeah. The Warlord asked Shawn Michaels to distribute the steroid, and you know, steroids, some of them when it comes to muscle building, they take them in the butt. So he asked Shawn to help him out. Shawn jammed the needle in, and it wouldn't go. And Shawn was like, "Hey, man, I think you already fooled." It couldn't go. Like, when you get to that point, fam, you need to stop. Like, that is, man,
all right.
Doing the most.
All right, man, you got a con.
All right, so that probably would have been one, but
could have been one.
Yeah. Con, man, we had a lot of cartoonish gimmicks during this time period, and you know, it again, this was for the kids. So the new generation, you could tell that Vince was still trying to cater to the kids, but also sort of trying to cater to the work rate guys, and it was almost like it was, let's find our footing. Because the 80s had a direction, 70s had a direction. We're trying to find our footing again. But in the midst of finding our footing, we're trying a whole bunch of characters. Like, the Undertaker wasn't supposed to be a long-term character. If you think about this character, just think about this character. You have a guy claiming to be a dead man. An old Western version of a mortician.
Yeah.
Claiming to be a dead man. Supernatural powers, sitting up in the ring. You know, your heroes can't topple him. He was technically supposed to be like one of those people that came as a villainous foe and disappeared in the sunset, and then they moved on to something else.
Yeah.
It ended up taking off. I was like, okay, we got something with this guy. The clown gimmick. It took off. We got something with this guy. The Repo Man. We got a guy threatening to repo your stuff.
The goon, the hockey player that fights. Like
Atom Bomb.
Isaac Yankem.
The evil dentist.
Max Moon.
Max Moon. What was the guy's name with the magic tricks?
Man, it's like, it started with an M. It's like Max something. Ooh.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
It started with an M. I swear it starts with an M. It starts with an M.
When he was pulling people's like underwear and stuff out of his man.
Yeah. I mean, Mantar.
You had
Damien. Vince was just be on the toilet like, ooh, I got it.
Fantasio.
Yeah, Fantasio.
That was his name.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it started.
Vince was on a roll with these characters, man, and you know, some of them hits. Even the Giant Gonzalez, you had a dude in a bodysuit with fur. That was supposed to be the foe to the other cartoonish character that wasn't supposed to last. Yeah. And again, we suspended our belief. You know, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to believe in the characters, but you started stepping away. Yeah, but you started stepping away from these guys that were somewhat straddling the fence on, like, you still had your Junkyard Dogs and all that in the 80s, but they kind of straddled the fence. This time, they went all the way in with the new generation there. And it just tended to go a little too far in certain areas. And then it was like, all right, y'all bring it back in. Because as they was going more cartoonish, the people on the other channel were getting more realistic. And as society was changing and mindsets were changing and things were becoming a little bit more grittier, the other station started taking over slowly because people got tired of the cartoon stuff and wanted to switch to the more realistic stuff. So if anything, I think when they switched to the cartoon stuff, they tried to hang on to it a little bit too long.
All right. Now you got your pro.
All right. So my new generation pro. I will have to say you had a lot of underdogs that rose to the top in this one. You had your people who probably wouldn't have got the chances if the larger-than-life stars were still around, because, again, that's what Vince was going for. Your Ultimate Warriors, your Hogans, like, people who look like them were always pushed to the forefront. Your Honky Tonk Mans, none of them was always Intercontinental or less. Your Steamboats were always Intercontinental or less. They stayed in, even Macho Man, you know, he clawed his way in, but he technically wasn't one of the, you know, big guys. But in the new generation there, you saw the opportunities. You saw the Shawn Michaels. They shed more light on the characters. And you saw these guys who look like somebody who worked with your dad or look like your dad.
Yeah.
Look like you.
Yeah.
That got on TV and was slamming guys that look like Hogan. Guys that look like Warlord. And kicking their teeth down their throat. And you're like, okay, making them tap. You saw
sir.
1, 2, 3 Kids come out of nowhere pinning Razor Ramon. And, you know, it really kind of put it into perspective that if done right, you can make a star out of anybody.
Sure can.
If you do it right. And they made a lot of underdog stars.
They did.
And, you know,
I mean, Stone Cold came out of here. Triple H came out of here. Undertaker came out of here. It's more, I know, but I'm just saying those are good examples.
Yeah.
Of people that came out of stars. I mean, even people like Godfather, who was Kama, and Kishi, who was the Stop the Violence. What was it? It's Fatu.
Fatu.
Was it Junior Fatu?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, they came out of here. And, you know, going toward the Attitude Era, they became stars. But they all came from the new generation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, the new generation. Even Ron Simmons came in there. He almost got wrapped up in the cartoon gimmick, but
he did, yeah.
With that gladiator suit, boy.
Well, I mean, he kind of did with that Farouk. Oh man, yeah. That's how, go Google that or go look it up on YouTube. It's up there. Go look up Farouk and like first gimmick, and you'll see what we're talking about. Vince was on one.
Yeah. And he was walking down with Sonny. Oh, that don't even make sense.
Don't make sense at all.
What? She just went to Smoking Guns?
Oh, yeah, the Smoking Guns. Yeah, exactly. So it's like...
That's not...
Yeah.
Hey, the underdogs, man. Oh, who was it? Was it Skip? Zip?
Skip?
The Body Donnas?
The Body Donnas, yeah.
Yeah, a Bear Horowitz. People forget about Bear Horowitz, the man that could never win a match, patting himself on the back, and then actually came in there and won. You know, one new generation guy that would have been dominant in AEW right now?
Who?
Hakushi.
Yeah. And 1, 2, 3 Kid, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
X-Pac came out of this generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, like, you're definitely right about the, the guys that got used. So, with big props to that. My con for this, for the new generation, the lack of women wrestling. Now, it wasn't a lack like we think these days because they're not like putting them on TV. Around 94, Vince was like, yeah, he don't need women wrestling. And Medusa had the belt, and they didn't even know, like, they were so done with women wrestling, they didn't even ask for the belt back. They don't think they remember to ask for the belt back. She was just like, yeah, they discontinued it, and I kept the belt.
Alondra Blaze up in smoke.
Yeah, Alondra Blaze gone. And then she goes to WCW later on and put the belt in the trash can. We all know the history. But the lack of women wrestling.
They didn't even have a roster. Like, if you look at the women's roster at that time, it was like her. Sherry was a manager, but they would like randomly use her, and then you had like Mona Vachon.
And Bull, an old girl, Bull in the what's her name?
I want to say Bull Nakata.
Yeah.
I want to say Bull Nakata. They would call her in, and then they would call in, what was that, Bertha Faye?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, Bertha Faye.
But if you look at this era also, WCW didn't have a women's division either.
No.
They didn't. Like, they brought her in. She I think Medusa came in and feuded with, who did she feud with? She feuded with some Asian girl, and then I think she feuded with, that was it.
They still weren't. And most of the women in WCW were valets at the time.
Yeah. And like, this, like Jacqueline, everybody was valets. Like, both companies at that time didn't care for women's wrestling at all.
Yeah.
I think Bischoff just signed Medusa just to stick it to Vince. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my con, just the lack of women wrestling. All right, and then I'm gonna do the last pro. One of the pros of that new generation, Raw was born. Monday Night Raw was born out of this era. It's very important because Raw, as a wrestling fan, is very important to us today. It's still a staple in wrestling today. But Monday Night Raw was born out of this era. The need for live TV every week was born out of this era. Because wrestling used to be very syndicated. Tape episodes. It wasn't live. Vince had the idea we're going to make Raw live. He used to do it every week, and then he started doing it every other week. But that brought on the influence for people like Eric Bischoff on the other channel to do Nitro every week. And then he had to follow suit because, can't get outdid it. But Raw being born was important for the new generation because not only did we get to see the new wrestlers, but we got to see them every week on a primetime show on Monday. And that was very important for the growth of the company and the growth of people like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Psycho Sid and Diesel and Razor Ramon and all these cats, 1, 2, 3 Kid, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Mick Foley with Mankind at the time. So it was very important.
The Superstars and what was it, Saturday morning? What was it, Saturday morning Superstars?
It was Superstars, and then you had Wrestling Challenge.
Wrestling Challenge. Yeah. You could only do so much with those. Yeah,
and it wasn't live, and it was taped. I mean, if you go back and watch some of the old episodes, you had Vince and Gorilla talking with a green screen in the back. Mm-hmm. But when you had Raw, it was live. It was right there. It was in your face, and that was the first of its kind. And it was doing it every week.
I tell you what, though, Vince was hustling them Coliseum videos, though.
Oh man,
because that's where you could see anything you missed.
Yep.
On Coliseum video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vince was a pimp.
Many.
Vince was a pimp. He was a hustler. All right, man. You got the last con.
The last con
of the new generation.
Was that on me?
Yep.
You sure?
Yeah, I promise you.
I don't know if that was me.
I can go last con.
I'm about to say, because honestly, if I had to think of another con of the new generation era to really think about it, the curtain call.
Ooh. Yeah.
The curtain call, because.
But is it a con? Because the curtain call, it punished Triple H.
Well, as a fan, I would say as a fan.
Okay, as a fan, yeah.
Because as a fan, you still
the illusion got broke.
Yeah, it that was one of, like, people up until this point still took kayfabe very seriously.
They did.
So they lived their gimmicks. You didn't travel together with your foe. If you beefing with somebody, don't be seen eating. Don't be seen in the hotel. Don't be seen on vacation. If it was social media at the time, you better not be on somebody TikTok dancing. Yep. Y'all beefing, y'all don't mess with each other. Y'all mad for real.
Yep.
And most of the time with certain characters, they weren't even out of gimmick. Like, the people who were not humanistic characters If you were a monster, you kept your mask on and you stayed to yourself, even in airports. Like Undertaker would talk about being dressed in all black and walking through and having his hoodie on and just sitting in the corner because he knew wasn't nobody gonna mess with him. But you didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I remember being little and I'd be like, dang, I wonder what happens when Raw goes off. Because, you see it end with somebody getting beat down or somebody getting run out the building. You like, are they still fighting? You wondering for a whole week to next week. Did he catch him? What happened? Yeah. You can't wait for the show to come back on and see what happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
But now, thanks to things like the curtain call that sparked it, it pretty much lifted the veil that was held so preciously by wrestling traditionalists.
Yeah. And
a lot of people, look at that as a doomsday event, or one of those crystals in Thanos' gloves.
Yeah.
That set off a chain reaction. Because, hey, at that point you like, all right, so y'all dapping each other up and like, what does this mean? So good guys and bad guys hang out. What does this mean? And slowly but surely, over the years, y'all seen what's happened. Now we got WWE Unreal.
Yeah.
So, and that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate it. That was the pros and the cons of the new generation. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate all the love that we've been getting for these videos. We're going to do a lot more of these pros and cons of wrestling eras and wrestling events that happen. All right?
Yeah.
But as always, great times. But as always, I am CL Cool.
I'm your boy Taze.
And we're out of here. Appreciate it. Much love. Put out.